Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's good to see you. Slight change of plan if you've been following my videos. The last video I put up was the unboxing of the mystery box, which is the Night Walrus. Because I'm waiting for parts for the Hobby King Cessna TTX, I thought I'd go on and build the Walrus. So the first thing we've got to do is get the instructions, which we've done. I've downloaded these from the internet. It shows here that the only tools you need is a screwdriver, needle nose pliers and some foam glue. The instructions themselves are pictorial and there's not much of it actually. I believe by building this the hardest part is going to be routing all the wires. It says aileron, flap, and the other one must be the lights. There's the wing, so it looks okay. Test the hinges, of course. That's one wing. Take a look at the vertical stabilizer. Yeah, very good. These are stickers, nice stickers, these decals. And finally, the horizontal stabilizer and elevator. It's nice to see they've actually already cut the decal and pressed it in where the hinge is. That's good. There's the wire for these LEDs, top and bottom. That basically all the major components. Then we have our little zip bag, 4 push rods, 2 for each wing. Put those up there. A little bag full of horns and screws. A strip of Velcro for the battery. Some wire harnesses. I wonder there's something else in here. Oh yes. Wing bolts, 2 of them. There's the LED harness. And then yes, we have an aileron Y lead. And a flap Y lead. And an Allen key. So let's see what we have to do first according to the instructions. Control horns. So we have to put the control horns on all the surfaces. Aileron, flaps, elevator and rudder. So we've got to get this horn screwed in there, but is it there? I think it's the other side actually. It's this side. Well, these horns are sort of moulded. They're not very good. They've just got these awful pieces where the moulding's been just broken off. Just give it a little scrape. Smooths it out a bit. So this is going to go there. Holes are already here. So I'm just going to push that through. Comes through the other side. I'm going to put this plate over the hole and screw it in. Over there, it doesn't matter if they're falling around at the moment. Just get the screws to bite, to start biting. Reposition the plate, reposition the horn, and put the second screw in. And the way I do these, as you can see here, because we have 2 screws, I do them opposite corners. I've got to put this screw through the hole in the foam. That's it, just needs to hold it in. You can see they're opposite corners, and therefore they're opposite corners here. So the next thing we've got to do is the elevator. There's only one place it goes, which is here. And it straddles a carbon rod actually. When I first looked at this, I failed to see that this actually is reinforced right the way down its full length. So let's get a horn on here. I'll put the horn on like this. I'll put one of these screws, doesn't matter which corner we decide to use. Let's push it through the hole. Then we're going to flip that over, put the plate on and screw it up. So now all I need to do is to basically just do these up. There we are, the control horn, 2 screws, opposite corners. And it's got the same here, although this one looks screwed down more than that one, so let me back this one off a tad. Don't need to be too tight. It's okay, that's good. Now I'm going to repeat that, put that over there. I'm going to repeat that for both the aileron and the flap of this wing. You don't need to see that. It's exactly the same process. If you're working on these, you will notice that this plate has some little tiny raises on one side and it's absolutely flat on the other. And on the foam it's got some indentations. The temptation is take that piece and literally slot it in so it sits in those holes. Don't do it. Don't do it, because when you try and put your screws in, you can really muck it up. You can squash the bits that stick out from underneath this. You can damage these holes, and they're only foam, remember. So my advice, I don't know if it's right, always put these with the raised piece upwards so the plate is flush, but you can feel the raised bumps on this side. I find the screws go in almost immediately without any fussing around if you do it that way. It might not be the right way, but it works. They're on. Now for the newbies who are watching this, if there are any, when you put your horns on, you always have the horn over the hinge. So it's like that. You don't have it facing the other way. Now to us experienced modelers, that's pretty obvious. So that wing's done. I'll get on and do the next. Okay, here's another little trick I'll tell you while you're putting these on. If you get a cocktail stick, when you position this, just push the stick through the holes. It just clears out the hole, so you're not pushing the foam out at the same time as you're putting the screw in. The other thing you can do if you want, although this doesn't warrant it, you can put a tiny bit of super glue on a cocktail stick, push it into the hole, let it go off, and then just snip these at both sides, and your horn is pegged in with a wooden peg. And you could in fact do that on all four if you wanted. Take the screws out, or just the two that don't have the screws in, or just leave it. Depends if you want belt and braces. 2 screws is perfectly adequate for this aircraft. So that's that part of the build complete. With the video in, it's taken me about half an hour, but you can do it in about 15 minutes. So there's aileron, flaps. You could put a tiny bit of Loctite on here if you want, or a tiny drop of super glue, just to make sure they won't come undone, but I can assure you they won't. That's one wing. Let's get all the stuff over here. There's the second wing. Again, you can see it here. Perfectly alright. Horizontal tail planes. All horned up, ready to go. And the vertical tail plane, along with the rudder, ready to go. Well, the next 2 steps are pretty easy. According to this, what we do is connect the clevis onto the rods, because these rods don't have anything on the end. And it's just a matter of screwing them onto the rods. Then we've got to glue the horizontal tail plane into position and make sure we connect the wire. Right, so the secret on this next step, well, it's not a secret, but the way of doing it is if you dummy fit your elevator, you get some sort of idea where it's going to sit, so you can work out from that how far it needs to be screwed on, which, looking at this, is about 4 or 5 twists from the end. Yeah, so we'll get that done. Take that out. But there it is, it's as simple as that. But what I should have done first is zero my servo, so I know when it's centered. I'll do that now and then make the appropriate adjustments. And when you've done that, you do exactly the same for the rudder. What you can see here is I have centered the servo. This is where the horn sits when the elevator is level. And as you can see, I've got to bring this back quite a way. I've got to screw this end almost right back to here. This clevis is now basically in the right position, give or take a few half turns. And you can see it's gone all the way down on this push rod. I can't really screw it down anymore. But it does work, and there is clearance between the horn and this piece of thread. If I really want to, I could cut some of that thread off, but right now I'm going to leave it. This goes here. It's roughly about there. This doesn't look so bad. Now I have centered servo. Yeah, that's going to be about right. These are only approximations right now, and you do the fine tuning once it's all glued in. So the next step is to glue this in place. So I'm going to go and get some glue and get it glued on. So the glue I'm using is Yoo-Hoo Pour, and it's basically a contact adhesive that is foam safe. So what I do is, you can see where it's going to sit, so I just rough this up. A few bits on here, just there. A bit of that. There we go. I'm being very careful not to cut the wires. I'll do the same on here. Even this back bit. Get the wire out of the way and do the same here. That's all done. I'm going to use the glue. I'm going to put the glue on this piece, match them together, then separate them. Pull them off. So I've got glue on both sides now. And leave that for about 5 minutes and then put them back together again. There'll be a real good quick bond.
5 minutes later.
Let's get them put together. There. So now what I've got to do is join any one of these to that. That's connected. Now what I need to do is pull that particular wire forward so it takes up the slack. And there is a little gully in here, that this wire has to sit along. Just to hold that down there, a drop of foam safe super glue maybe. And use my activator to hold most of this in place. So if I just push that down like that, I'm being quite gentle here, just a blob. Oh, I've got no activator! I don't believe it. Huh. No activator. Let's hold that down, and then this can be pulled through along with this one once I've connected the rudder. I'm going to put the rudder in next, so I do exactly the same process. Work out where it's going to be glued, and I just rough it up a little bit. Okay, that's good. And I'll do the same in here, very lightly. Alright, let's do this. Check that for alignment while it's all still wet. It looks alright, doesn't it? Now what I love about this glue is if you give it a rub, it goes sort of dirty and then it just peels off. So where it's all oozed out, it'll just make a real good seal. Now I'm not going to attach the clevises yet, you've got to let this dry. It does dry quick, but I'm going to give it the rest of the day. That'll be about it for this build, this part of the build. So there it is. Just leave that to dry.